Okay, I'm just going to let it roll, and this again, it's just to facilitate my thinking because this is going to maybe make sense or not, but a little bit like it doesn't exist unless I record it. Um, and I want to get to this quantum thing of how something can not exist until the moment of observation. This superposition notion where things can exist in an indeterminate state and becomes something, is a thing, only upon our apprehension of it, only upon our observation of it. And it bumps into all this thing of, manifestation, which sounds like a magic trick, which sounds like something that humanity has been fooled by for years. And yet what seemed to be magic voodoo for generations, when it bumps into the 20th century, is getting validation through quantum physics, the most advanced of the physics. And once again, I keep seeing, and it's known knowledge, not necessarily common knowledge, but a lot of the guys who were involved in the splitting of the atom and the atomic bomb were enthusiasts, embraced enthusiastically a lot of the Eastern religions' notions of the contiguity of existence, everything's connected, in terms of how it bumps into quantum field theory. And once again, I'm just learning. I'm a rank amateur on this, and I'm picking up little fragments of it, which is why I want, in somewhat futile appeal, someone out there to tell me, not necessarily that I'm wrong. Of course, I'm going to be wrong about something, and not that I presume to have the last word on anything, but my most recent word on something, and it just seems to be grounded. I don't know. And inevitably, other people have made the point somewhere. It's just that I haven't discovered it yet. Again, it's this sort of, our world is what we know of it. Let me think, and I wrote some notes down here. One of the surprising things about quantum physics is that it used to be the atom is the smallest, and it comes from amber. I guess this is pre-Socratic stuff, but human beings have figured out, the smallest. Well, we're all composed of the smallest particle, and it's an atom. And then we discovered that there are subatomic particles. But quantum is that something like sunlight is made up of little bits of packets, so little things. And I'm sort of thinking that, and I've been bumping into this thought about how things are essentially split into two, and I was surprised and fascinated that I guess Dirac, again one of these physicists, fairly within the past 100 years, I guess, figured out that for every, and I remember this is something in the Superman comics of antimatter. What? That for every particle of matter, there is an antimatter. There's a matching isn't. So I extend this metaphorically into truths, that there's either something is or it isn't. So as countless people have said, was the thing of that in everything, I guess there's, Sartre said everything is implied, everything implies its own negation. And I think he applied this to political and social systems, and sort of our behaviors connected to a sort of certain natural principles and rules, and not so much, well, and I would extend, I was going to say truths, but one of the things I've said in these posts is that, every truth, there's only half truth, because it's true or it isn't. So there's this notion of differentness, that for everything there is that it isn't, and our minds work that way too. In order to conceive of something, we have to put it in a framework. We have to limit it somehow. It has to have a skin, as with little packets of energy. It has a skin. It has an inside and an outside, and there's a surface, and it distinguishes itself from other things by its skin. So when I apply this to behavior in politics in particular, when I think of things like, well, Trump, implies his own negation, that, and I would say, that he has an opportunity to really become a historical person by reversing himself entirely, which there are precedents. There are precedents in history, people that have come up to a point, and I keep thinking of Charles Colson, who was a Watergate bad guy, smart guy, did a lot of harm, found Jesus in prison, as typical. You have this prison, I'm going to be a good guy now, and in fact he became a good guy. And that there is in him, in particular, this, I'm just invited to the notion, that I'm drawn to the notion, a little like catnip, that this guy could just reverse direction. Part of me thinks, geez, he's ruining the United States role as the world leader and the world's cop. He's become the bad cop, in which no one has any faith in. And I'm not saying he's intending to do it, but the fact of his disastrous and evilly intended selfish leadership is to dismantle this idea that the role of the ruling hegemon in human history has to be a military power. And that was the Christian notion. Exactly the opposition. Exactly, it's like anti-Rome, which is a realm of peace rather than war and death. It's life against death. And if he wants to, and he's not doing this, so obviously he's doubling the Defense Department budget. If he wants to go $1.5 trillion for the defense, why didn't he do the reverse? Cut. We don't want to have 11 aircraft carriers. It's provoking the rest of the world to hate us and worry about us and think about us as the nuclear power that's destroying them. So let's take the initiative to do exactly the opposite. And this is kind of crazy, let's make friends with Russia and China and North Korea. All the ones that are threatening us, let's do business. Let's get in bed with them. In this, and he personifies perversity in so many ways. And there's a side theme here, which I really think that of all the things to criticize, and there's a tremendous amount of hypocrisy in our hatred, very much like a Jungian, we hate what we see most in ourselves. The tremendous hypocrisy in the criticism and the hatred of Trump. I don't mean to make a case for Trump. I'm just saying that when we tried to shame him for personal behavior, for example, it's inconsistent. You'll find people, especially on the web, Trump is humiliated and destroyed, and they'll find the very weakest case against him, something where he's misspoken and so forth. And this is what drives a lot of MAGA, which is the pettiness and the nowness, if you will, of the left, which is just petty and exaggerating, and it's false, and it's bad faith, as a lot of MAGA, not all of MAGA, because obviously there's a real overlap, there's a real imbalance here. And this, I guess, maybe I'll close out with this thing of the isn't and is, the dual sort of yin-yang of existence, very Taoist, very Eastern, which is you can't have one without the other. And my understanding is that in the universe with the matter and antimatter, there's this teeny 1 in 4 billion chance that of those particle matches, and if anyone matched up, the universe would end. But at a very rare event, there's a flaw that happens, and that is I don't know how they arrived at this point, but that is how the known universe was created. That there's been these cancellations that have been going on a quantum level that only once rarely works out one or the other. And I sort of apply this to regular life and even politics, that we're all half good, half bad. I look at my own behavior, half good, half bad. I'm lucky if I'm one little fragment. And the trick in life is to be one little fragment better, more good than bad. Because sure, boy, the bad almost matches up 1-to-1 with the good. For everything that I think is redeeming in me, I can very easily look back and think, there's something where I just stink to high heaven. And, and you can apply this to other people, and it helps in terms of anger, and it helps to try to, maybe that's the mystery of life. I don't know. What do you think? I guess that's where I want to be at this particular point, in this little discourse. So you tell me. I don't know.